Hello, my name is Paul Davey. I work for Iomart and my role is Enterprise Business Development Manager. Today's presentation is going to last approximately 15 minutes. We're going to be talking about the challenges of lockdown, how it's impacted people on a personal and a business level, and how IT's had to adapt to that. The challenge ahead, particularly with the uncertainty of COVID-19, how Iomart have actually supported customers. And yes, there have been some positives that have come out of COVID, which we'll explore as well. But before we do that, a little bit about Iomart. Iomart are a cloud-centric company, delivering private cloud in our data center or a customer's data center, or we deliver hybrid cloud, and that could be a private cloud with, say, Microsoft Azure, Office 365, or multi-cloud, where Iomart place the right workloads in the most appropriate cloud. So that could be private cloud, Office 365, AWS, Google, Azure, and you may also have some legacy applications that need to be in a colo environment. We're completely agnostic in terms of the technology that we use. We use all the main vendors such as Dell EMC, VMware, Cisco, Microsoft, Amazon, really just to deliver the best in breed solutions. We're a UK-based organisation, 400 plus staff in 13 sites all across the UK. We're all connected by Iomart's own dark fibre backbone network, which is N+2 connectivity. That links out to our 26 sites globally. And we support in excess of 4,500 direct customers. We're financially strong. We've got a turnover of around £112 million. We've been in business for 22 years, and we've grown massively through organic growth and mergers and acquisitions. Why is that important? Well, we've all seen during COVID that a lot of organisations are getting into financial difficulty. So you need to be doing business with an organisation that's going to be there through thick and thin. So our job really is keeping the lights on for organisations. We look after, for example, 1 million plus gamers using our systems with our IT infrastructure in the back. We also do system protection for one of the biggest music companies in the world. And we support ISVs and SaaS-based providers, and they've, of course, got thousands of customers as well. We basically manage the IT infrastructure, which means our customers can concentrate on their core strengths. In addition to that, we provide co-location services, data protection in any cloud, be that backup or DR as a service. We have a security operations center, along with workplace recovery and IT and digital transformation services with our consultancy division Systems Up. So what have been the challenges during lockdown? Well, firstly, we've had to adapt to an ever-evolving situation since mid-March on a personal and a business level. And really, we've had to change the way we work. We've gone from maybe working 5 days a week in London to now suddenly working at home, whilst, as you can see from the screen there, holding the baby. As individuals, there's been real balances of home and work responsibilities. We've had to deal with managing remote teams. Some organisations have had furlough of team members. But whilst that happens, we've still got to maintain a positive perspective to our employees and the customers we serve. And whilst we're doing that, we've got to plan for all that uncertainty. And there's been the essential services that have continued to run during this time, such as the NHS, shops, supply chains, deliveries, refuse collections. And they continued operating, but they've had IT systems in the background to support them, to keep them going. There's been a big focus on e-commerce. They've continued to operate and become even stronger during COVID because people are now consuming online. People are wary about going to shops. So as a result, they've become a lot more stronger. And as you've probably seen in the news, because of e-commerce has grown so exponentially, companies like Hermes have just announced they're taking on an extra 10,000 employees. But with this expansion, that's caused some challenges in terms of how they deal with their system to support the spikes. So they've asked technical companies, managed services providers like Iomart to support them to keep that IT infrastructure lights on so they can maintain that cash flow and deal with the spikes in demand. We've seen during COVID that many organisations literally overnight have had to go to remote working, and Iomart are absolutely no different. We're a traditional company, even though we're IT, where we were typically based from the office. We are now, overnight, went to 400 plus staff working remotely. And lots of organisations are in the same position. They've had to put in potentially using new cloud services, collaboration tools, put in network fixes, and not really having the time to consider the implications or do their real due diligence. Some organisations have had to invoke their business continuity or disaster recovery plan for the first time. We ran one of these events 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we had an online poll there. And of those that attended, 30% of them had invoked their DR for the first time. We've had to put in tactical fixes to plug the gaps. We've put in collaboration services such as Microsoft Teams and Zoom. But there are some positives, of course. There's no need to travel anymore because you can do this from the comfort of your own home. The carbon footprint's been reduced, and you can now see your colleagues on a flick of a switch. But we've had to buy new equipment as well to support these home workers, and then set up remote desktops, or perhaps give them a virtual desktop environment. We're absolutely evolving the way that we now work. Even today, you're watching this presentation, possibly from the office, or but more likely at home. This was meant to take place on a face-to-face basis. This is the new norm. But the key priority really is retaining business viability and making sure that when we re-enter business premises, we've got to still maintain that social distancing. But lots of organisations are actually thinking about right-sizing their real estate to reflect the new. But they've still got to have one mind on keeping that social distancing and being operationally effective. So this means realigning budgets. But then you've still got the continual threat of, well, is there going to be a second wave of COVID or a third wave? And got to plan for that uncertainty. There's been a recent survey by Citrix who have estimated that 2/3 of UK workers believe that working from home will be absolutely more commonplace post-COVID. I don't disagree. But we've got to make sure, organisations have to make sure that we tune those short-term IT fixes to make sure they become more strategic and aligned to your business objectives in the future. And of course, we've got to think about updating the DR and the BC plans. And then we've got Brexit. Where does it stop? I mean, that's at the end of the year. So some organisations have put their compliance and regulatory requirements on hold, but that will come back. We've got to consider that too. So what is going to happen after COVID? Well, Iomart surveyed 1,500 IT professionals who are responsible for their organisation's IT and network infrastructure. And you can see here some of the figures. We just mentioned Citrix, but 100% of the people that we surveyed out of those 1,500 people believe video conferencing will increasingly replace face-to-face meetings. 97% of those see cloud adoption of cloud technologies being adopted to deal with the changing work, the way that in which we work, and also the IT requirements that support that. Interestingly, 67% of those said businesses will change forever. I've been speaking to one of my contacts in the insurance market, not far from the Lloyd's of London building. They're all talking about the gold rush. They call it the gold rush because they are seeing that organisations want to close their buildings to free up capital, to free up leases and the cost of running that building. And the CFOs are all over it because they're seeing that actually we can save a few bucks here. Whether or not that actually transpires to be the real new norm, we'll have to wait and see, but certainly CFOs have got their eye on it. So as we balance remote working in the office and at home, application performance, security and network access will absolutely become more crucial. So organizations really do need to think about their IT strategy. So what can Iomart do to help your business? So we'll start on this circle. Start at the top with cloud infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and work around clockwise. IaaS, PaaS basically reduce the need for on-premise maintenance. Reduce those dedicated server rooms to enable greater space so staff can come in and socially distance. But it's about right sizing that platform in a IaaS or a PaaS environment to deal with day one requirement and scale that out as you grow. There's always going to be legacy applications in co-location services. Well, we've got 13 data centers in the UK to deal with that. E-commerce, we support so many organizations and their e-commerce platforms, and uptime is key. We've all been there before. We've gone to a website and the website's down. So guess what? We go to another website. That is a sale lost for that website that's down. So we need to make sure there's 100% uptime, and e-commerce expect highly resilient compute, highly resilient network connections and internet bandwidth to go out to multiple ISPs. And then you've got the cloud data management. As people go more down the cloud route, their data is becoming more and more fragmented. We're seeing people using SaaS-based solutions, multiple cloud technologies such as 365, AWS, or it could be a private cloud, notwithstanding the need, of course, to still have legacy kit, which results in multiple tools and cost sprawl to maintain the data protection of all of this data in multiple places. But Iomart can bring this all together, bring in best-in-breed technology to give you that single pane of glass to back up any cloud, and we've got Google search type capability. So if you need to tick the GDPR compliance box, you can search on, for instance, a personal record for someone, find out where that's been backed up, and then restore it or delete that data. We also provide impressive disaster recovery as a service, recovery time and recovery point objectives, depending on your application. And then connectivity as a registered ISP, we support multiple organizations deliver SD-WAN, MPLS, point-to-point connections, and we deal with all the major telcos. We've got direct connects into links, which is London Internet Exchange for tier 1 peering. As mentioned earlier, we've got our M+2 dark fiber connectivity linking all 13 UK data centers, and they go out through express route for Azure or direct connects to AWS. With all of these clouds, networks and data protection is absolutely fundamental to keep that secure. So Iomart had our own managed security services. We have our own security operations center to provide things like distributed denial of service protection, IDS, IPS, or device endpoint protection. We're also a cloud collaboration. We do cloud collaboration services. We're a Microsoft tier 1 cloud services provider partner. We've got 7 gold accreditations and 2 silver, supporting 365, Azure, Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, etc. And we've helped many, many organizations during lockdown. We've also got the working from home services, remote desktops. We have our own Azure stack in our data centers. So if there's an issue over data governance, where is that data, how are you accessing that, we know exactly where that Azure stack is in our data center. We also provide VMware Horizon View, VDI, which is great for users using high GPU intensive applications. And finally, desktop as service, we're a Microsoft Surface reseller and Surface Hub reseller. All of our services are OpEx based. Of course, we can handle the CapEx as well, whatever works best for you as an organization. But who have we helped? The Royal Horticultural Society, they do garden shows, and perhaps one of the most famous one is the Chelsea Flower Show. Well, that had to be cancelled this year in person, so they diversified and had an online event. We helped them scale up their resources so they could deal with thousands upon thousands of people joining the Chelsea Flower Show online. We got them operational in 6 weeks in collaboration with them and their partners to deliver a brand new experience for their end users. And the feedback on the screen really does say it all. So we're focusing on 3 things here, the positives. Reducing costs, it's about right sizing an environment for today. and scaling it out for the next 3 to 5 years. Not in the traditional sense where you buy a bit of kit and make sure it's big enough to deal with the next 3 to 5 years. Pay as you use basis. And that's particularly important if you people looking to reduce their real estate and related overhead costs. We can also think about expediting timeframes to go to market. We can help you define a service catalogue for maybe a small, medium, large, simple or complex deployment to go out to market. So you'll know the cost of that, how long it takes you to deliver that, and you can then sell that back internally to your internal users or externally as a service. Now, typically, IT has been seen as a cost center. If you know how long it takes to go to market with an application, then you can cross-charge that back to the business or your external customers to be seen as a business enabler. The security side of things, well, we've seen lots of sticky plasters going over things during COVID, but we can help you with implementing a security in-depth defense, that centralizing your data and that sprawl of services all over the place, basically reducing the surface attack even. So enhanced productivity, well, we're thinking here about those people working at home, making sure that they can work outside of the core hours to work in the new norm, and looking at ways to improve the internal and external customer experience. Really, our business is knowing your business, what's being pushed down from your board, and how that translates into a digital and IT strategy that we can help you plan to execute against. Now, to finish on, our consultants really do work with you to understand your business drivers, understand what you're trying to achieve, and create the right strategy. Our architects then build that infrastructure and solutions to meet those requirements. Our value is in the simplicity of this infrastructure transformation, help you achieve your business objective. We really help you transform at a pace that is right for you and in the business context that you need it to be. And it could be because you're moving premises or you're even doing a technology refresh. But whatever we do, we make sure that we put the governance and the security around that to deliver a risk-free and an excellent customer service experience, so you and your end customers maintain business operations to keep you running successfully. That really concludes today's presentation. I hope you found it useful. Please feel free to ask questions. I think there's going to be online questions that you can ask now, or you can come visit our virtual stand, or you can email me, or there's my telephone number. Thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to engaging with you.